Dylan, I'm sorry, bro. This is why.
I better hear you take some responsibility yourself for where you and your baby are today. When I can do something for y'all, then y'all always, then y'all stand in the back.
Ladies, let's get some order, ladies. Mr. Phillips, you are
Mr. Manser believes he was unjustly imprisoned for 5 years for failing to pay child support for Ms. Sayre's son, Dylan, even though the child isn't his. Ms. Sayre, on the other hand, is confident about Dylan's paternity and says Mr. Manser is shying away from his responsibilities.
For your honor, I'm here to explain that 12 hours of my life cost me 5 years in the Department of Corrections. She was best friends with my aunt. We all lived in the same little community. She lived across the street. I knew of her. I knew her. I've spoken to her. But as far as intimacy, we was together one time. And I hate to be crude, but it was a one-night stand.
We already know how chaotic the rest of this episode is going to be. These two are not friends. In fact, it seems like they hate each other. One-night stand or not, it happened. And Dylan could very well be the result of that one reckless night.
So I didn't show up for court, and I was named the natural father by default.
And then what happened?
And then I was charged criminally for not paying the child support that was ordered in the default judgment. That came 3 years later after I still didn't pay child support, still unable to pay.
So, Mr. Manser missed a court date and still didn't pay the child support for 3 years after he found out he was a father because he couldn't afford it. Also, he had no proof that the child was his, even though Ms. Sayre claimed they had gotten his DNA samples somehow and had run the tests. Right now, it's impossible to pick sides. Both of their arguments are pretty solid.
Winning Father of the Year awards, believe me.
You wouldn't get it.
So, but I'm here to say that, you know, in today's society, I think it's cruel and unusual punishment to be sentenced to 5 years in prison.
You missed being a father.
I didn't know he was mine. You've had these so-called results.
It must have been tough for Mr. Manser going through all these because of the paternity of a child he isn't sure is his. However, he's not as innocent as he claims to be. He went through all that because of his nonchalance. First, you don't seek proof of the child's paternity. Then, you don't show up at court. You gotta obey the law, man.
That is also included in the collection of the samples. I do see that for alleged father, it's entirely blank.
That's right.
Meaning,
imagine that.
there is no social security number.
That's right.
There is no address.
She forgot to put that part in there.
There is no information about you. It's all blank.
While this DNA result says there's a 99.67% probability of paternity, there's no evidence relating to collecting the sample from Mr. Manser. So how did Ms. Sayre get the sample from him? Good thing they get another chance to do it the right way on paternity court. At least, we know whatever the results say this time is true.
Miss Sayre, you're saying that he expressed no doubt to you as to whether or not Dylan was his son until he was around 18?
Not until Dylan turned 18.
Don't you think the fact that I have nothing to do with it would express doubt?
You even had nothing to do with 3 of your kids, including the one
I got
sitting
one
there.
right here.
Not until he was 13.
I got one right now.
This is getting really interesting. Now, we know that the only reason Mr. Manser has been absent from Dylan's life is because he's unsure about his paternity. He has 3 other kids, one of which is here today, and he's present in their lives, making up for the years he's missed.
Has he been a father to you, and if so, has he been a good one?
Absolutely. He's been a great father to me. We've had our ups and downs as a father-son relationship should be.
We're best friends.
We really are.
If Mr. Manser has been spending time with Dylan, treating him like his son, even paying child support for a couple of years after he got out of prison, why is Ms. Sayre making it seem like he's never been there? It looks like Mr. Manser has actually been present in Dylan's life, but has been holding back because of his doubts. Or is it something else? Let's see what Dylan has to say.
Go ahead, son.
I love Chris, though. We've spent a lot of time together.
Your brother.
Yeah.
We're gonna be brothers no matter what happens after today.
I'm not really sure. I mean, I can't respect someone talking so much. I haven't seen either one of them in over a year now.
Daughter on the way.
Mr. Manser was right when he said he wasn't here to win the Father of the Year award. How do you say that to your likely son when he tells you he's expecting a child? I honestly don't think any of them care about the other. It seems Ms. Sayre is the one this is most important to.
What are you feeling in this moment?
I feel like I have never, ever deserved disrespect. You're gonna be my baby's daddy. I have never disrespected you. I let you be and live your life and live your selfish life you've lived for the last 20 years.
Well, it's time to end this drama and find out whether or not Mr. Manser has been wrongly accused for 20 years. The DNA results are in.
You are not.
Oh, man. Dylan, I'm sorry, bro. This is why. This is why I did what I did.
But this
and
is
acted-
nothing I made up. The lad.
Ms. Prowell is requesting the court to award her $475 in back child care support in case one of 3 men is identified as her baby's biological father. Mr. Morton, one of the men in question, believes he should be excluded from the list because there are too many potential fathers for it to be him.
You know, I've come to find out that she's slept around with one guy, then another guy. I'm just perplexed about the situation. I don't know who the father is of this child. This is why I'm here.
Let me first hear how you met and how did you all get in a relationship?
So, Ms. Prowell and Mr. Morton were in a relationship, and Mr. Morton wouldn't have doubted Ethan's paternity if he didn't find out she had been sleeping around with several other men. Let's hear Ms. Prowell's side of the story.
The relationship was going wonderful in the beginning. Now, a couple of months in, I'm finding out there's another woman.
What evidence do you have of that?
On his Twitter account, he's talking to a young lady saying these things that I can't say in
Sexual
court.
things.
Yeah, and he's supposed to be with me.
That's not true at all, okay?
Excuse me.
Here we go again with the revenge sex trope. When are couples ever going to learn that this doesn't solve anything? She thought he was cheating, so she went ahead to cheat. Now there's a baby and nobody knows who his father is.
Before he did so, he asked me, was I involved with Miss Prowell? Now, I told him yes. You know, we were,
But you're listening to other people, though. You're listening to
I
other
hope you
people.
don't get too serious with her
He doesn't,
because
Your Honor,
I have already
He doesn't even know this
slept with
person.
her.
He doesn't.
Okay, this woman is hilarious. You're upset that he believed someone who told him you were cheating, yet you admit it's true. So what's your issue, ma'am? The point is you were cheating on him with this Mr. Gaddis, and that's it.
Lied to me, obviously. I don't think I'm the father, you know, because we only messed around a few times after that. I didn't know she was pregnant until Desmond told me in passing.
Wow.
Wow. So he's also been tested, and we're going to have those results revealed.
Wow. Ms. Prowell sure knows how to lie to men. Mr. Gaddis, who is also a potential father, is denying the paternity of the child and even had no idea she was pregnant. They had had a fling a long time ago, and to him, that ship has long sailed. So this baby issue doesn't seem to concern him much.
Mr. Laurie, we also met, and I'm very remorseful for what I did. That's what it was. I didn't, excuse me. So I said, you didn't put a ring on my finger.
She claims to have been drunk when the thing with Mr. Gaddis happened. But the thing with the third guy, Mr. Lowry, was very intentional, and she had done it out of spite. Like Judge Lauren just said, 3 wrongs do not make a right.
No calls, no texts, because I switched jobs. How we met at a party. We drinking, we go back in the room. Of course, what happens, teenagers. After all this goes down, you know, we go back to work. I'm thinking of it like, okay.
This all makes sense now knowing that they're teenagers. What does Ms. Prowell mean by not wanting Mr. Lowry to be her child's father? If you didn't want him to be, you shouldn't have slept with him in the first place, because now it's not in your control.
Morton, during our relationship, sometime on the 17th, and I slept with him again on the 20.
Okay, move on.
I'm on the red. When I slept with Mr. Gaddis at a party, it was around the 19th, and then again on the 22nd.
My goodness. How is this girl not embarrassed? She slept with 3 co-workers in like the same week, and she's here like she's some math teacher teaching the court how to read a calendar.
Morton was in the hospital with me during the process of me giving birth. However, after me giving birth and they moved me to my stable room, he left and didn't come back. He took off work. Why would you take off work and leave me? Why would you do that? Where did you
sign
go?
the birth certificate, Mr. Morton?
No, he did
ma'am.
not, Your Honor.
Does Ms. Prowell think she's right? Does she really believe anyone's going to be on her side after everything she's just admitted? It's a good thing Mr. Morton didn't sign that birth certificate. At least, he held her hand while she gave birth to the baby. It's proof that he cares for her.
I didn't want him to know.
It doesn't matter. If that's my kid, you still have to call me to let me know. You still supposed to let me know. It doesn't matter.
No.
Yes, I am.
No,
What do you
you're not.
mean? I mean, how would you know? How would you know?
Imagine trying to make a choice now. What a joke. Since when did knowing how to change a diaper become a criterion for being a father? How many men, or people in general, know how to change a diaper before having a kid? It's clear Ms. Prowell doesn't fancy Mr. Lowry very much. Wish she had considered that before having revenge sex with him.
All 3 of them being some real deadbeat dad. No one should hold it against this child.
But your point is you don't feel like any of the men truly stepped up. And that would be Mr. Gaddis and Mr. Morton because Mr. Lowry didn't know.
If you ask me, I have been been Ethan's other parent.
Did Ms. Prowell and her neighbor expect all the men to be knocking at her door, begging to take care of the child when they weren't even sure if the child was theirs? It doesn't work that way. Good thing it's only been 6 weeks, and from here on out, whoever the father is will have to step up.
Some responsibility yourself for where you and your baby are today. I'm not saying they got it all the way right. All of you silly, because you're teenagers, you're young, you have no business even having babies. If you don't require that they protect themselves, guess who is the only one in the equation that can end up pregnant?
Bet she wasn't expecting that outburst from Judge Lauren. Let's end this whole thing and find out who Ethan's father is. The results are in.
It has been determined by this court the father is Mr. Morton. Are those tears of joy or just relief?
Ms. Wilson accuses Mr. Phillips of cheating on her with his ex-wife and denying the paternity of her 2-year-old daughter, Hope. Mr. Phillips, though, believes she had an affair with her co-worker, Mr. Garcia, and that he is Hope's father.
Well, the way we got together, just having sex, and so when you build a relationship like
That's pretty together.
Yeah, right. And when
So it started off as a non-committal sexual relationship.
Correct.
Okay.
And
At least she's being honest. Their relationship wasn't built on trust, so Mr. Phillips has trouble believing the child is his. There has to be a reason for his doubts, though. Let's find out if there is. Okay.
Separated at a point in time, and during that point in time, she led me to believe that I was the only man that she was sexually involved. But she let me know she was doing the clubs and she was dating people, but she was not sexually involved with anybody.
Okay.
When one of my friends was inside the club with her,
She was foreplaying in the club with the other potential partner, Mr. Garcia. This has led Mr. Phillips to believe that Hope is Mr. Garcia's daughter. However, there's a second and even stronger reason. Hear it directly from him.
Think he's the father.
yes, I do, because I have a son that is Mexican black.
So,
and
a
she's
biracial
identical
child.
to my son. They are twins.
So you have a child that's biracial.
Yes, I do.
Exactly. Nobody's going to justify cheating on here. And honestly, that's not the point of the show. Back to the paternity business. Mr. Phillips is convinced that Hope is Mr. Garcia's because he, Mr. Phillips, has a Mexican black son who looks exactly like Hope. One would think this would prove Hope is his daughter, but well,
supposed to move back in with my mother, but my mother knew of his lifestyle. And so when my mother found out that I would still have something to do with him, she put me out. So when I was telling him that she put me out, he allowed me to come and move in with him.
this is one very complex relationship, the kind that you can hardly make sense of. Before they decided to be committed, Mr. Phillips was some sort of sex nympho. It was hard to trust when they became committed because she couldn't let go of his past life. And who can blame her? The man slept with almost every woman in his apartment complex. And it gets worse.
In the new house?
In the new place, in our closet.
It was things that I did not know.
Her shoes, candles that they shared together in their home. I mean, just so much stuff. So I came to him and I asked him, can you get rid of her stuff?
What in the world happened to shame? How is Mr. Phillips confidently saying these things? First, he threw sex parties and had to move to a new place because he slept with almost every woman in the old one. Now he's talking about an album of naked pictures that includes many explicit ones of his wife. Is that normal?
Have you ever been intimate sexually with Ms. Wilson?
No, Your Honor. Only mouth-wise kissing.
Only kissing.
And her lips only, that's it. And tongue.
So silly.
But never sexually, anything like that.
Now that is a surprise. Apparently, Ms. Wilson had been teaching Mr. Garcia how to kiss because she's a good kisser. And yes, they'd been going on trips together and sleeping in the same rooms. But guess what? Mr. Garcia is gay. That was not expected. This means that everything Mr. Phillips has built his argument on is false. Wow.
Because that's what I was under the influence of believing in the beginning before I was betrayed.
So you believe, I get it. So you're saying that this is what they told you from the get-go.
And then your lip
So
locking
you think that's part of the lie. So you saying Mr. Garcia came?
This isn't even news to Mr. Phillips. Despite knowing that Mr. Garcia is gay, he believes he is Hope's father. Let's hear what the DNA results say already.
Mr. Phillips, you are her father.
Ms. Hall admits she has no idea who fathered her son, Noah, because at the time of his conception, she had been involved with 2 men, unsure of whom to choose, and Mr. Elliott is one of them.
I met Amanda probably about 13 years ago. I was friends with Amanda's boyfriend at the time. One day after they split up and we started talking, that's how it started from there. And the doubts about Noah is that when we started talking, we started to get together.
Returning to your ex's house whenever fight with your partner sounds off. And how come her ex always opened his doors to her? Mr. Elliott believes she purposely escalated their fights so that she could have a reason to leave and go to her ex's house. And obviously, when she went there, she and this ex slept together.
At this time of conception, you're admitting, Ms. Hall, that you slept with Mr. Elliott and your ex.
Yes, Your Honor, I am.
Is this a yo-yo, a seesaw type relationship?
I love them both. It was hard. One gave me great sex.
Ms. Hall claims that she loves both men for different reasons. While that makes some sense, it's not sensible to shuffle between 2 guys like that. You have to make a choice and give up the other. Look where this has gotten them to.
I was with him and the other guy. He knew that before he even started a relationship with me.
Is that true, Mr. Elliott? Were you aware of it?
Yes, I was aware of it, but when we started talking and everything, and after she broke up with him, then we decided, she said she had feelings for me. I told her I had feelings for her.
Before they got into a serious relationship, Ms. Hall had been going back and forth between the 2 men. But when they decided to commit to each other, Mr. Elliott had assumed that Ms. Hall would give up whatever she had going on with her ex and focus on their relationship. But Ms. Hall had other plans, keeping her relationship with her ex still, under the guise that Mr. Elliott was pushing her to.
I gotta get to this pushing part, because what is it about the arguing or what he's doing that's pushing you?
No, it's not an excuse. I can't be with a guy that's going to argue with me.
See, I can't trust her.
Ms. Hall is clearly in the wrong. Every couple fights, and the solution to that isn't running to your ex. If you want the relationship to work, you're expected to try to resolve the issues, at the very least, before storming out of the house, let alone into the arms of another man.
Not as much as I do Max.
Okay.
When she had the baby, I didn't even know she had the baby. I wasn't even allowed to come up.
Your Honor, wait a minute.
Ms. Hall claims to love Mr. Elliott more than her ex, but her actions say otherwise. When she had the baby, her ex had been in the hospital with her. The ex also prohibited Mr. Elliott from coming to the hospital to see the baby. Mrs. Hall was fine with this because the ex could provide the financial security she needed to care for her kids.
I think the baby looks like Mr. Elliott a lot more than I do the other guy, because he has the forehead. Look at him. I mean, he has the forehead, the nose, the eyelashes. Max has a Facebook picture on Facebook, and they both look just alike.
Ms. Hall had slept with both men in the week her conception date fell, so she's genuinely confused about Noah's paternity. However, she believes he's Mr. Elliott's because he and Noah resemble each other more than her ex and the child do.
I want to be able to trust her. I want you to know I love you. I really do love you with all my heart. They look at me like a dad. I mean, I want to be with you. I want to be able to trust you.
I'm willing to do anything I can to prove to you that I do want to be with you.
If the arguments are such a big deal, do these 2 really need to be together? And does Mr. Elliott truly believe she can be faithful after how they got together and the shaky foundation on which their relationship has been built? It seems like Mr. Elliott is more emotionally invested in the relationship than she is.
You were with your ex
about a month ago.
She told me she hasn't been with him.
And I could be pregnant again. So I also could be pregnant again in the same situation that I'm in now, where both guys could be the dad.
Oh my goodness.
Now this is a shocker. What in the world is this case? Ms. Hall just boldly admitted that there's a possibility she is pregnant. And just like Noah, she doesn't know who the father of this baby is. This is wrong in so many ways.
2 different men, and I'm sure the same has happened for men as it relates to women. The issue is when you begin to bring children into the world.
Judge Lauren couldn't have said it better. The only reason she's been able to get away with this excuse of being torn between 2 lovers is because the men had let her get away with it. Both men need to take a step back to reevaluate the situation. You cannot let a woman keep going back and forth between you and another man. It results in silly cases like this one.
When we're together, everything's just always good. Then when the arguments, then that's where fight and gets bad. You know, the trust issue. I mean, I really do love her. I just want to be with her.
What do you you feel?
I wish I could stop doing what I'm doing and he could stop pushing me away.
This is quite confusing, especially because she said not too long ago that her ex was a more suitable baby daddy for Noah and her other kids. Why then does she hope Noah is Mr. Elliott's son? Now we understand why she says she is confused. She really is.
Have a relationship with Noah?
He wants to be around him when it's good for him. He don't want to part with Noah.
Explain.
Okay, when I was with him last time.
Okay, now it's clearer. The ex isn't exactly Mr. Nice Guy. While he's got the cash, he's not daddy material and isn't particularly fond of Noah. So Ms. Hall realized that while Mr. Elliott doesn't have the financial stability she requires, he has far more valuable qualities, like love, for instance.
It worked between me and him and have the family that I've always wanted.
But Ms. Hall, one thing you've got to understand, when you say you want to make it work, you got to be willing to do the work.
I'm willing to do anything.
Hopefully, Ms. Hall will get her dream family. Let's see what the DNA results say.
Mr. Elliott, you are not Noah's father.
Mr. and Mrs. Cohen's marriage is on the verge of divorce because Mrs. Cohen slept with another man under their roof, and Mr. Cohen's trust in her is broken. Now, he isn't sure if their one-year-old son, Kyrie, is his.
Right now, I'm trying to save my marriage because we are on the verge of divorce. I want to prove to him that he is the father of our one-year-old son. He's my high school sweetheart. We met in the 10th grade. We started dating. We've been together for 7 years, married for 3, and I just really want to prove to him and his family members that he is the father of our one-year-old son.
What are you feeling right now?
I'm just hurt a lot because
She's hurt because he cheats as well, but he's overreacting to her infidelity and shifting the blame onto their son. They've been together for a long time. It's quite obvious that they have a strong bond. This baby daddy issue, however, may or has already put a dent in it.
What are you feeling?
I'm just really hurt right now that we had to come this far to get these answers. And I have had lots of doubt about Kyrie, and it will really hurt if that does come back and he's not my child today.
I wish for him that Kyrie is his son. We're talking about this marriage here, and they have another baby together. It'll just be terrible if the marriage breaks up and leaves both kids caught up in the mix.
I seen my name at the top. I was like, let me click on this note. Why is my name there? I clicked on the note and there was 2 other names under my name. I instantly realized that was the people Jasmine had been intimate with because my name was first, which I took Jasmine's virginity, and there was another name under it.
This just got real juicy. After they broke up and got back together, Mr. Cohen went through his wife's phone just to be sure he could trust her and that things were solid between them. In her notes app, he found 3 names, one of them his, another was her former lover. He then messaged the guy with the unfamiliar name on Instagram, and to his shock, this guy already knew who he was and even knew about the baby. Wow.
I met him at community service, and when we took our lunch break, he came back to the house and we had sex. But I was already pregnant. He knew that I was already pregnant. We just broke up.
But we were not having sex, Your Honor, during our breakup, which was in April during her conception.
And I had sex with him in May, so that's impossible for him to be my child's father, okay? That don't even make sense.
So wait a minute, you took...
After getting back at him, it has bounced back on both of them. Now, there's uncertainty regarding their second child's paternity. How will they move past this if it turns out Kyrie's the son of this random guy from community service?
Testimony is correct, and you weren't having sex in April because you all said you were on this break, and Kyrie was born on January 5th. When you count back, January, 9 months, that goes back to the period of time when he says you weren't.
They were broken up in April, which was Kyrie's conception period. Mr. Cohen says they weren't having sex during this break, but his wife insists they were. Is it just me, or is it really impossible to forget whether you and your spouse were intimate during a breakup? Clearly, one of them is lying. However, Mr. Cohen has additional proof that he isn't Kyrie's father.
And I didn't have no insurance at the time, so it was uncontrolled, meaning my sugars were always high. So every time I would ejaculate, my semen would become weird and it wouldn't.
This is an interesting turn. Mr. Cohen believes that because of his medical condition, type 2 diabetes, He couldn't have impregnated his wife. Good thing there's a doctor in the house to tell if this is relevant to the case. Let's see what he says.
It's come to mind immediately that affects the fertility of men is one, erectile dysfunction, where man cannot have meaningful sex or sexual encounter, and two, the decrease in testosterone, which will definitely decrease the sperm count. Also, another part of that is there's decreased seminal fluid as well, which is kind of what Mr. Cohen is referring to, caused by type 2 diabetes.
So when he says that he would experience, I guess, a thickening of the semen fluid.
So, Mr. Cohen did have a point. However, even though it's likely to father a child with type 2 diabetes, it is still possible. Because at the end of the day, it only takes one sperm cell to fertilize an egg. Well, the doctor has spoken.
In touch with this other man.
No, why would I do that? That was nothing. I just want to prove to him and his family, because his family treats my baby completely different than our first child. Like, when I had him, they didn't post him on their Facebook. They didn't buy him nothing for his birthday. Like, they treat him different than my other son that we have together. I know that in their heart, they
Great speech there, Mrs. Cohen. The DNA results are here. We hope this proves Mr. Cohen and his family wrong. Fingers crossed.
By this court. Mr. Cohen, you are the father.
Ms. Williams and her two sisters are in court today because their mother's past promiscuous behavior led to them growing up without knowing their fathers. Their mom, Ms. Liddell, is also here to finally put an end to the paternity mystery because her daughters still punish her for past mistakes.
Had been my father, and we were all wanting to know, like his family, him, my aunt that raised me and Jasmine, we wanted the paternity test. We were all there and ready.
This is about to be one chaotic case. One thing that we know already is that these girls do not like their mother. And maybe, just maybe, the mother doesn't like them too. Let's find out more.
Okay, when I was growing up, family members would say, no, he's not your father. It was a rumor going around that.
Who is that?
James.
The man who's going to appear in court today and has been tested?
Yes.
All right, so.
It's tasking trying to understand the issue at hand. The girls grew up thinking a particular man, James, was their father. But their mom would say during arguments that he wasn't. And then, this Mr. James doesn't treat all the girls equally because he doesn't think they're all his.
A man, no, this is my mother. He calls out her name. Who are you? Lisa, they're your daddy.
Ooh, this family has more problems than paternity court can fix. The youngest, Lisa, doesn't believe James is her father. All three girls still carry the pain of being abandoned by their mother and left with relatives. However, their mother has her reasons for doing so.
You know who her father is? I don't know. I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna be honest, because I was whorish. I did me. Okay, you can keep your slab remarks. I was whorish.
It's easy to see where the girls are coming from. The woman has no idea who the father of any of her three kids is. This means that even Mr. James Williams might not be the father of any of them.
You believe you are these young girls' biological father. Do you believe that?
Deep in my heart, Your Honor, and I hate to say it, and it's hurting me to say it too, but no, I do not.
You don't act like it.
While Mr. James has been present in their lives to the best of his abilities, he's never been 100% sure he's their dad. And the girls have felt the same way. Imagine living your life not knowing for sure if your father's really your father or your child's really your child. That's just so sad.
I have a question for both of them. Why did you miss my 8th grade graduation? You weren't away.
Because
you were out. You were able to come. Why did you miss it?
Jamie, because I was a piece of, like, I'm not gonna keep down on myself, but I didn't care about y'all.
You see, it's not even about their paternity anymore. These girls need to go to therapy with their mother to dissect the pent-up hurt both parties feel. Even if they find out who their fathers are, they're still going to walk out of these court calling their mother the most insulting names.
Young people, because it will eat away at them, break them down and lead them down the same road you were. Somebody broke you down. That's obvious. That's the thing, I don't know what words to use because I done told them so many things and said.
This is a case like no other, because it's not only about finding out who their father is. This is about a mother whose kids wouldn't give a chance to redeem herself. This is about three girls who grew up without a mother and have learned to hate her. This is about a broken home. This is about broken people.
if the only thing you require of her is that she continue to tell you what a piece of crap she's been to you. Look, let me call it the way I see it. You see her, she living her agony every day.
Judge.
Sometimes there's nothing you can do to punish a person more.
Judge Lauren summed it up perfectly. The girls need to give their mom a breather because the woman is obviously aware she has done wrong by them and is living with the agony every single day. Could they give her a chance to right her wrongs?
That what you need in your life and what you're wanting in your life is not just gonna come from finding out who your father is, but it's gonna truly come when you begin to find out.
It's best we get to the results already. Let's find out if Mr. Williams is the father of any of the girls.
It's Jasmine Williams. Mr. Williams, you are her father.
It was out of happiness.